Bam and welcome, Pat. Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show Traveling Road Show Edition. How are you today?
Doing good, Rick. I hope everybody in our viewership land is doing well as well. Millions of our viewers.
Millions of viewers. We're
Yep.
on a little bit earlier. I'm using Starlink satellite and dish, and it towards the afternoon, like 5 o'clock, with Starlink, you all share bandwidth. So I noticed that the speeds were going down. So I thought, well, let's get on a couple hours earlier and it should help. And it looks like we're doing okay. And you guys, the Rick Help Real Estate referral team is quite busy down there in the valley while I'm traveling. So I appreciate that. Everybody's got a lot of work ahead of them. So I wanted to show some numbers that I thought, and some numbers that I predicted for this week where I'm wrong, and I'm going to show you why. But it's, you hear things, right? There's, oh, it's really busy. It's really dead. It depends what segment you're looking at. So I'm going to kind of dive into some of those numbers here today, like we always do. And if you're new here, give me a thumbs up, and the comment section is always open. So let me know what you'd like to see. But here's this. This is one of my favorite charts. It comes out once a month, and it's showing that not only is inventory going down. Now I've been having problems with my little red pen here. Sometimes it doesn't work. So it's not going to work. The blue line is supply index and the red line is demand index, and they're both going down, and that's kind of rare. They're either going in opposite directions or they're flat line, but they're both going down. And I've been seeing that in my 7-day moving average as well. And you can see with the ticker down below that our total listings are below 24,000, in fact, 23,471. But we only have 2,644 new listings, but we have 2,800 new contracts. So we have more contracts than new listings, not by a lot. But what's interesting is contracts are just not coming off the floor from 2,700 to 2,800 per week. So both numbers are down as far as the index, but new listings are actually down. And I'm going to show you how that reflects in the index chart that I have. But you can see here, and we've showed this a few times, we are just right there with 2024 numbers. I mean, the red line and the turquoise line, week after week. I mean, look at this.
That's crazy.
4,380, same as last year, same as last year, same as last year. Pretty darn easy to predict where pending listings are going to go the rest of the year. We're just hugging that same line. I mean, I've never seen anything run that close. Now, this chart, this is the one you get if you're signed up to my weekly newsletter, and the link's down below if you want to subscribe to that. But what I said in that newsletter was these green arrows a lot of them are going to turn yellow this week. And this is this week. They came out with a day early, and I'm wrong, and I'll tell you why. So let me explain the green arrows. So here's Fountain Hills showing 137.7 as an index, right? And it's saying that last week or last month, it was 107.2. So it went up, which it means it's more in favor of sellers, and as most of the market did. And the reason was that inventory was declining. It didn't get more in favor in sellers because more buyers came out. It's just that new listings kept going down. And earlier in the week, especially last weekend, I was looking at new listings and thinking, well, they're going to level off and maybe increase based on what I'm seeing. That turned out not to be the case. And now we have more green arrows, with the exception of Tempe. Now, Gilbert, in this index, they consider anything 110 or above to be in favor of sellers, 100 to be balanced, and then anything below that is balanced, and below 80 is a buyer's market, like Maricopa, 48.7, Queen Creek, 62.1. Let's see. We got a comment here. Rick, not to be disrespectful, but only 2 comments to improve the broadcast. The window shade behind you distract. Lower the shade. Resolution 720. Your video would be much higher. Let me see if I can change that. I've tried this. I pulled it down, and then so you got a choice between my really bright face. So let me see how that works. And as far as changing the resolution while I'm broadcasting, I probably can't do that in the middle of this. I can give it a shot. Let me see what I have here. I've never done this live before, so bear with me. I'm going to go to my settings, and I'm going to try and change it to, I can't. It says I'm already live. So that horse has left the barn, but thank you anyway. So I hope the sound's good. It's hard for me to get lighting in this RV. I didn't bring my studio lights with me. But so anyway, these numbers, when I go and I look here, this is our contract ratio heat map, which is interesting. And it kind of ties into what we saw earlier there. And look at what has turned into a hot market for sellers here. It's Gilbert. Contract ratio is 75, 60 to 80 is considered hot. Gilbert is doing well. Everybody else is kind of in the green, which is between almost cold and balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's lighting the world on fire.
It doesn't look that way.
Tempe, Scottsdale 85257, cold. It's snowing up there. Tempe, snowing. Tempe, Mesa, frost.
Now, what price range is that? That's just the whole overall heat map?
Yeah, that's the overall heat map. And so it's showing that, not everything's on fire, but there's a couple neighborhoods that are doing well in Gilbert, and we've seen that. I think Jackie had a listing appointment she was going to try and schedule, and she called, and now it was on the market for 78 days. But this weekend, they go, oh, we're under contract. Now, here's the surprising thing. Price cuts, they actually have not increased. They've gone down week after week, which is maybe just seasonality. Canceled, although they've been up, they're not up that far. 604 this year, 416 last year, 440 this year, 419 last year. So canceleds are, there's a lot of different reasons something can cancel. And then now this one gets interesting, Pat. This gave me some real encouragement for buyers when I looked at this. This is list price per square foot. Now here's last year. There's 2023. There's 2024. So 2024, we were at 344. Now we're at 332. I put in the year. Let's see if I can get this right here. I put in 2021 just for comparison, just the silly season, just to see what we were looking at. And where did it go? Let's see. This is 2024. Did it give it to me? No, it didn't. It's going to do it now. Do it. There it is. According to this chart, we're right at 2021. Isn't that interesting?
Wow. That is very intriguing.
Watch this change when I do something. I took out, this is price per square foot. I took out everything over $1 million. Yes, talk amongst yourselves. And the story changes dramatically. We're at 251 versus 2021. We were at 241. So it's the higher end that's got the average price per square foot that has come down on listings. And that looks like it could be a seasonal adjustment. Either way, it's somewhat encouraging versus the last couple of years. We were at 256 and 24, and now we're at 224. We were at 256. Now it says we're at 251. It's not a lot. If you're waiting,
does that constitute a crash?
That's no, I don't think that falls into that bucket yet. So we're looking, but and then I wanted to talk a little bit, Pat, because we know rates aren't moving, but I wanted to dip into a little bit of an AI conversation here, if I could, because I know real estate brokerages are looking at how it can help them, and mortgage brokerages or companies are looking at how AI can help them. But there's an interesting article came out by MarketWatch this morning that said, should you use AI to buy your next home? We asked Gemini, which is run by Google, these 4 mortgage questions, and brokers rated the responses. And I'll just kind of summarize it for you. What they discovered was, like, one of the questions they asked them was, they were asking about what's the process and what kind of loans are out there. And they found that they buying an investment property, what kind of loans can I have? And they said, they gave them a list. So they went to the broker, and the broker goes, yeah, that's actually very accurate. It spit out very accurate information. But when AI was asked to give interest rates, it was way off, because it doesn't know what rates are today, and it doesn't know what kind of rates are available to you.
Mm-hmm.
So AI can pull some things in, but they don't know that Price Mortgage can look at how many different lenders do you work with?
Approximately 130, 35, all
So
specialty types.
each one has a different rate, a different fee, depending on your program. AI is not going to capture that.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. I mean, we get 130, but I probably use 10 or 15 because the other ones are specialty lenders, and there's every lender's got their little niche. They'll tell you this is where we're good at, this is where we're not good at. If they're not good at something, they'll price something astronomically out of sync with everything else. So you're not to go there. So that's interesting.
Well, I think the takeaway on this is that AI is really good on looking at the process. In other words, they're just looking to buy a home, so they're asking AI, "What's the process?
Yeah.
What's escrow? What's title?" And it gives you good information. Now, I use AI for market reports, and so what I've done, and a Red Ruby here, you're saying, you know, um, numbers skew the mean averages. I like to use median numbers to minimize the skew. I haven't found one really that, I mean, some people say median price is just not the thing to look at. That's awful. Average price is awful. I just show it.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you which one I thought I liked better or not, but it's out there. I use AI a lot to research market trends and kind of build reports for me, but I use more than one AI program. I use ChatGPT. I don't use Grok. I use Gamma, which is excellent, and so I blend the three. And then when I ask for the information, I ask it to get the information from several sources: Zillow, Redfin. It actually pulls from the Cromford market. Um, I ask for realtor.com, and then I also put in the prompt and any other Arizona real estate data providers. And so you see it thinking there for a while, and it'll give you something that, like, here's a zip code report, which is what that QR code is up here. You can get a zip code report for your neighborhood. In fact, you can get just about anything you want. Just tell me what you're looking for. But it'll give you an executive summary, rental trends, economic and housing market statistics. And I went through it a few times and found that some of them were kind of way off. First one I looked at said there's an inventory shortage and bidding wars are prevalent. Now what are you pulling from? So gives you a comparative market snapshot versus the surrounding areas. So I've been pretty happy with what it's giving me. But switching to rates real quick. I mean, everybody's waiting for the chit chat for tomorrow, right? At the retreat up in Wyoming.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think that's the big thing is obviously we'll see what he has to say because, it's been really, it's going to be interesting to see what he says. This is going to probably be a pretty impactful speech because now there's a lot of talk. I'm sure you've heard and seen it. Are they going to, drop rates a quarter, half? Are they going to cut rates at all? So, I mean, the next couple months, there's probably going to be a little bit of volatility in rates. No doubt about it. I mean,
Well, it kind of looks to me like no matter what they do, we're probably not going to see anything change.
yeah, I mean, I don't see anything. I mean, that's gonna be crazy. I mean, the rates have gotten slowly. We're sitting right now at. I mean, you look at this right here. I mean, my typical scenario: 475,000 on purchase price, 780, 5% down. I mean, rates like we talked about the last couple months have gone from really. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit here. But this is the best price scenario with Provident. I mean, once again, I think I've said this. They're good A paper lender. If there's anything that's a little hairy about the deal, I usually don't send them a deal because they nitpick. But they're the best. Usually, they've been the best price lender. I mean, we were a couple months ago. We were, like you said, 6 and 7/8, 7. Now we're down into the 6 and 3/8 range. But I don't really suspect, 6 and 3/8, 6.5. It's going to be interesting to see what what Powell says. Does he get pressured from Trump? Everybody says that this could be the month that he does. They do make a rate cut. Who knows? I mean, it's just,
Well, don't they have an 80% probability that there will be a rate cut already built into, the bond
yeah,
traders are saying so. So if they do have a
yeah,
rate cut, it's going to be another yawning moment.
yeah. I mean, he set the stage. I mean, he set the stage last year for a half a point rate cut in September of 24. Obviously, the economy's been giving some mixed signals between inflation and the labor market now. I mean, there's still the markets are pricing in probably a quarter point cut, but quite frankly, the last time we had a cut, rates went up after we had that last cut last year. So it's not inevitable that rates, because the Federal Reserve, cut rates, that mortgage rates are going to go down. The mortgage rates trade on the 10-year Treasury. So that's what I'm watching is, there. That's what I'm watching is how the 10-year Treasury is going to react. I mean, the last several months we've seen a nothing burger every time they come out with CPI or PPI, the PPI or the CPI. I mean, it has been really just been to this kind of this sloshing along. We're in the mid sixes. Who knows? I mean, right now it could be risky because obviously rates could pop up if you get some negative tone from that meeting, because everybody's expecting a September cut. So, I mean, it's
Well, my
anybody.
my gut tells me, Pat, that if let's say rates do go, we're at 6.6 right now. Let's say that I don't know, they went 6.4. Okay, I
Yeah,
think you'll see an increase in refi activity, but I don't think I will see an increase in buyer activity.
no, I mean, there's just not enough. I mean, for the buyers that are looking to buy, they're going to buy, but it's nothing going to be pushing anybody off the fence. I mean, you look at my chart here once again. Um, this, this is the 10-year Treasury. I mean, once again, this is in that channel that I've been talking about since really about July of 23. We've got this channel all along here that's all we've been riding on is, basically these ups and downs. So it's been a channel that we've been stuck in for really 2 years with rates.
Well, I'm
You
looking
know,
at our inventory trend here, and you can see that, we did go down. I mean, we kind of went down further than I thought. I mean, I was kind of expecting right about here that we'd see it go flat. Didn't mean my red line to do that, but we haven't. We finally flattened out a little bit this week, but it looks like we may flatten out or go down just a little bit more for next week. But and the only point of this chart is inventory is not exploding. It's not. They keep comparing it to 2019 levels and going, we're way above 2019 levels. Well, pre-pandemic is the magic word in real estate. And so if I take out 2021, 2022, 2023, you can see the green line here is pre-pandemic at 13,000, and now we're up 23,000. So we went up 10K. Pretty significant.
yeah,
But if you look at what they consider normal for our market back before we had the population increases, normal was about 27,000. So it's going to take a much higher inventory of that for us to see downward pricing pressure. Now, the Cromford people have said in their projection for the next month that they see more price declines, minimal, but they do see it. And here's what I've seen that really has stood out this year the most, and that is these expireds. The amount of expires that we have, it continues to climb. But I think it's going to slow down a little bit this week. I mean, when we get past Labor Day, I don't think we're going to see numbers like 1,000, 1,200 expireds. I think we'll see 400. I don't think people said, let's list for the summer and see what happens, and then they give up. It's more of a seasonality thing. I think people will jump in the fall and list, and if they don't have it sold by January 1st, they're going to let that listing expire, and then they'll say, I'm going to sit out the year.
Yep.
I'm just kind of guessing. The other thing, going back to AI for a minute, is that the advantage for real estate agents, and this has kind of always been there for us anyway, looking at the MLS, is, you want a neighborhood expert, right? I want somebody that lives there, knows about that. I can be a neighborhood expert in an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to go to an open house and run it for somebody that, wasn't my listing. And I would take my computer, and I took a big TV with me, and I drew a 1 mile circle around the house that I was in and pulled up the listings that were available. prior to going there, I would hit all the businesses in the area and get some coupons. Hey, I'm having an open house. I'd like to offer some coupons for people to come in the open house, free cup of coffee, 10% off. And I'd lay them out on the table and talk about the restaurants that are in the area. I did all the research on the supply, the demand. And, I'm thinking, okay, the guy that lives down the street, does he really know more than me? Well, now with artificial intelligence, you give me a neighborhood, just a neighborhood, and I can glean just about everything I want to know out of that neighborhood. And I can send it to the buyer. Here's what's going on in this neighborhood. Not just the zip code, but I can get it down to a neighborhood. Now there's a development. I don't want to say where it is, but one of the realtors is pretty prominent in there. She's in a book club. And she told the people in the book club a few months ago, oh man, our inventory's never been this high. Local expert, lives in that area. I know the numbers very well. We had 165 listings. She says it's an all-time record high. It's not. It was 323. And so, some people are very good at understanding kind of what's going on in their little bubble, but they're really not diving into the actual numbers. So when you're interviewing agents and you're talking to people and you talk to somebody that says they're the local expert, ask them, how many listings do we have out there today? And how does that compare to last year? Where are they trending? How's the supply versus demand ratio? What's the contract ratio? You can get a school report. You can pull up your own crime report. The realtor should be, doing that for you. But, all these tools are at your disposal. And I read something this morning too, talking about Zillow. Somebody posted it and said, Zillow lost $800 million when they bought homes based on their Zestimate. The CEO of Zillow sold his house for something like $60,000 to $80,000 below his Zestimate. And yet people look at that Zillow number and treat it like the gospel.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It's amazing how they do. I mean, as the old saying is, we're drowning in information and we're starving for knowledge.
Yeah.
Really.
Zillow, look, I applaud Zillow for giving us national exposure to the MLS. If I'm living in Seattle and I want to buy something in Idaho, I can look up the homes. Before you had to drive to Idaho, go to an office, pull out the listing book. And the other thing to keep in mind too is when you're buying from out of state, the whole process is different. Like up here where I'm visiting right now in Washington State, title and escrow are separate entities. Mm-hmm. It's not in Arizona. Arizona has a 9-page contract and Washington's is shorter, but the financing contingency is in the Arizona contract. If you can't obtain financing, you can get your earnest money back. It's in that financing contingency. In Washington State, it's a separate form called the supplemental. Mm-hmm. So they send you all of these things that we have built into our contract. They email you these supplementals to sign. It's like, why not just put that in there?
Yeah.
Now they have to disclose if they're paying a referral fee.
Well, that's the thing. State by state, we've got different rules and regulations. You got ways, different closing. You got lawyer states, you got non-lawyer states. So it definitely, when you're moving from one state to another, certainly somebody can give you advice in Wisconsin that doesn't apply to you in Arizona. Arizona, I mean, in Wisconsin, I don't know, we've got the LSU, the loan status update. A lot of people that are, if they use a lender from out of state, they don't know some of the forms and the loan, status update, the pre-qual letter. So it definitely helps to have somebody more local knowledge because everything is different market to market.
I bought in New York and you had to have an attorney. They cost you about $150 back then. This was in the 90s and you had to have one. And they didn't review any of my documents. I mean, they sat down at the desk and just kind of like, yeah, okay, this looks good. It's in order.
They're a waste of time. I mean, it's
total waste of time.
Oh, lawyer. I can't imagine. Thank God Arizona's not a lawyer state because I could never in a million years, it'd be tough. I do Arizona.
And you sit there at the table on closing day across the table from the sellers with their lawyer. It just felt very confrontational.
Yeah.
the people I had had already moved out, and they're sitting there with their hands folded, and they had made a mistake on the form, on a settlement form, and I said, "This isn't right. Will you call?" It was a corporate relo. Can you call them and have that removed? And I
So
said, "Because I'm not going to write a check for that." And oh man, they just like, and I said, "We're fine. Relax. We're fine." And so it was very tense. I'm
I can't
thinking, what?
imagine having two lawyers at the table. Just got, like assigning, you got enough people at assigning anyway to have two other people that are attorneys. I don't know. I just, it seems like it would definitely be not fun.
I agree that Zillow is a great tool to have. It really is, but I take issue with this estimate.
Yeah. Yeah.
We looked at one. You sent me one with Canary, House Canary, and it gives a range. And I think Zillow had that house at 770,000. House Canary came in at like 689. And so now you got to wrestle with which one's correct. Well, the only way you can reconcile that is to sit down with the seller and go, let's look.
Yeah.
We've got House Canary. Let's go and look at the MLS and see what's sold in your neighborhood. Let's see what's special about that house or not. And you have to dig in. Is it 779 like Zillow says? Probably not. And so somebody made a comment on a channel from last night, said, I saw a house that was listed at recorded, says according to Zillow and Redfin and everybody else, it sold for 325. I looked up the tax records and it says 275. And I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the biggest thing is we've got a lot of information that you can gather. I mean, the best thing is gathering up the information and trying to make an intelligent decision based on what you've got in front of you. I mean,
Well, I told you the story about my niece, Pat.
Yeah.
She got a letter from a lender. They bought a house last year, 2 years ago. Got a letter from a lender saying that he could save them $1,000 a month if they refinance. And he quoted them a rate. And I told my brother, I said, please let me review the document before she does that. That doesn't sound remotely close. I want to know what the fees are. And she's been having a tough time. She's dealing with some cancer now, and she's doing well. But she told her dad this week, she goes, I finally dug into that. They were going to add $30,000 to the cost of my loan. Now, what if she'd have just signed that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were buying down the rate, right?
Yeah, pretty much buying down the rate. And there's, you have to look at that fine print because, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. You got to read it, the fine print. Yeah, I can get anybody any type of rate that they want, but it might cost you $25,000 or $30,000. So it's
good to see you, Red. Have a good night.
Yeah, thanks, Red Ruby. Have a good night, sir.
Yeah, you get that letter and you're like, oh wow,
Well, that's the thing, I mean, get with a guy that obviously myself or anybody that's obviously works hard to be obviously be straightforward and transparent. Me, when I talk to a client, if I pick out a lender, I will show them the the pricing, the rate stack that they call it. I mean, basically, you go back. I mean, if you want to go back to my, go back to my screen. Basically, I tell clients this is the rate stack for this lender. If you want 5 7/8, it's going to cost you $11,000. If you want 5 1/4, it's going to cost you. She probably, we can save you money at 5 1/4, but it's going to cost you $25,000. You'd be surprised at how many people will do a loan thinking, great, I got a great rate, and they just don't look at the numbers. I'm still amazed at how many people I hear, like, oh, I can get a better rate. Well, good luck. I mean, like you said, being a mortgage broker, there's not too many people that can beat me in terms of rate. Yeah, there's certainly credit unions and some other specialty lenders that might be private banking, but for the most part, I go head to head with anybody. But it's just ridiculous to spend that amount of money for, and then what they'll be doing is calling if rates do go down another 1/2 or 3/4 of a point, like, oh, we can refinance you again. It's just it's quite the game that some people play.
Yeah,
but
cha-ching. Cha-ching.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing right now. My goal is to try to, I've been sending out some information to some people in terms of refinances. I've been telling them, hey, now is maybe not the time to refinance, but just get your gun ready. Get your documents ready, get ready just in case we do have an opportunity. But I don't want to be refinancing people 2 or 3 times over and just, they call it churning, in terms of, like, oh, we can, a lot of people on FHA and VA, but what they did now, VA and FHA, you cannot, if you refinance, you have to wait basically about another 7 months, 210 days before, basically, I'm giving you just rough numbers, but before you can refinance again, because they won't allow you to churn, FHA and VA. So it's things to watch out for. It's you got to look at the fine print. So,
well, I'm looking at supply and demand, and I got accused and bulked in with realtors saying that we drum up prices. I vehemently disagree with that. I mean, if I list your home, it's my fiduciary duty to get you the most for your home based on what the comps are and to sell the home. Do you want to list it or do you want to sell it? I mean, if let's say your home's, we sit there and we go through the numbers and it's worth 550 based on everything that I've seen and where things are trending, and you want a price for 600, I don't want the listing.
Yeah.
It's just going to sit there.
Yeah.
So I don't want it. So am I going to push up the listing to 600 and that's going to drive the market? If you price it at 600 and nobody wants it, nobody's going to buy it. Tell me how that affects prices. Because now here comes the buyer's agent. What's his job? His job is to represent the buyer, to get the buyer the best price that the buyer is looking for. And then he's going to look at this house and go, 600, I don't think it's worth it. I'm going to offer him 525. And you're going to have this back and forth, which is called what? Negotiation. You arrive at a market price. Now, a realtor can get out there and they can ask exponentially way more than what the house should go for. I'm sorry, folks, it's going to sit there until you get a willing buyer that comes in, because it's the buyers that set the ultimate price. A pool of buyers for now, 2,800 buyers over the past week are determining what the market price is for average listings right now in our market. If sellers decided to double the price of their home tomorrow because their realtor's really smart with great marketing, these 2,800 people, they're not going to give a rip. They're going to walk away. They're just going to go, I'm out. And so, I just find that a ridiculous argument. I'll never win it, but I just thought it was. We got James Morales. Anybody buys a house now while the market's going down is a fool. Houses are not going to go down much, are not going to go much higher, and can go a lot lower. These real estate guys will sell you a house, though. Yeah, I'll sell you a house, James, if you want one. If you're looking for the house that you want to move into, and you tell me what you want to pay for it, I'll help you get in that house. I don't promise you that every house you buy is going to go up. I don't promise you that it's not going to go down. I will share the statistics with you and show you where it's at, show you where the current market is right now, and you make a decision. I don't talk you into it.
Yeah.
Realtors don't talk you into buying a house. That's up to you. So if you're waiting for someone to make those decisions for you, take your mom.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The thing of it is, but people got to realize, we've said this before, the housing as an asset is much different than a stock. I'm sorry. It's considered an asset, but if you've got, I'm sorry, but the guy who's got 3 kids or 4 kids in a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, they've been living in it for 3 years and they're in a position to buy, you know what? They're not a fool. They're just trying to do what's right for their lifestyle. And not everybody, not everybody's, if people feel they're uncomfortable that prices are going to come down, we're seeing estimates that, we saw that one article talking about how home prices in U.S. cities are going to fall. I mean, it looked like you said, those prices in that one article, they had already been down 10%. So, I mean.
Yeah, and they're predicting some markets will fall 20. I agree, especially the ones that are already down 10.
Yeah.
They're Florida and Texas.
Yeah.
We were down 4, according to that article.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to be buying now, or do you want to be buying in 2021 when you've got, once again, I repeat myself till I'm blue in the face, but do you want to be buying now where you're not going up against 10 or 15 different offers? If you are in a position to buy, you and I have never said, oh, you got to buy. It's been like, hey, here's the data. You make the decision based on your individual. Everybody's different. So, I mean,
people reach out. Pat, people reach out to us and tell us what they want. They tell
Yeah.
us the price range they want, the style that they want. And 9 times out of 10, they've already found 7 or 8 houses that they like, that
Yeah.
they want more information on. Now, that isn't a realtor saying, "Oh, I'm going to sell you the house." I mean, Ruby's had 2 people where the contract was canceled this week. Jackie's had one that she's shown several weekends where they put in way lower priced offers and they got outbid. But Jackie was working a fiduciary duty with her client because that's what he wanted. She didn't go in and say, "Oh, we should offer more for this." She's saying, here's where it sits. Here's the odds of your offer being accepted. We can give it a shot. We'll try to get them to counter. And you just play this little dance back and forth with the agent. It's not the premise that says these real estate guys will sell you a house. Look, if you want somebody to help you with the paperwork and the processes and walking through the minefield of regulations, that's our job. The price is your job.
Yeah.
We'll negotiate on your behalf to get you the best price that you want. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But I've walked in, like that young couple I walked in, they loved this house in Ahwatukee. And I looked at them and I said, "I want you to go home tonight. And I want you, when nobody else is around because your mom's here, I want you to sit down on the couch after the kids go to sleep. I want you to talk about how bad you want this house and let it percolate for a while. Then I want you to tell me if you want me to write a contract and what you think your offer price should be." This guy's very compulsive. He goes, "No, I want it. I want to write a offer tonight." And I go, I'm trying to advise you here and caution you. I'll do it.
Yeah.
But, I still think you should digest. Nope. Now, did I sell him that house? I unlocked the door. There was a lot of negotiation back and forth when he wrote the offer. I thought he came in with a really low offer, but I managed to keep it alive, and we got some good closing cost concessions and everything out of it. But despite my best effort to say, "Go home and sleep on this," nope. Nope. I want it. This is it. It's got everything I want.
Well, another thing is too, I mean, what people have to realize, I mean, this is just my side note. You're buying you want to buy a house, buy, say, a 500,000 or 450,000 house. Yeah. You don't want it to be dropping. It's not going to be like a stock that's going to drop 10 or 15%, the next week or 2 weeks after you buy it. Another thing is too, people have to realize, the overall value when you buy a house, if you put, say, 5% down on a $500,000 house, $25,000, that's, what I'm saying? You're not dumping $500,000 into a house. Now, some people pay cash and they see a house go down. Yeah, certainly. That's why I always say that buying a house for cash sometimes is not the most conservative thing. If you think great, prices are going to go, leverage yourself, give the risk some back to the bank, as far as carrying that cost, now that risk. But, if you put 5% down on a $500,000 house, you're really, what do you really have risking is $25,000.
Well, I was just
I know it's easier said than done, but if you do buy a $500,000 home, it goes down 20%. Yeah. Okay. I get it. But, I'm looking at what you've got invested.
I've been up and down every market I've been in. Lost money, made money, lost money, made money. I was the Ebola virus of real estate every time I had a corporate move. I moved to Albany, New York, and we get a new governor and he lays everybody off.
Yeah.
I moved to Rochester, New York, and Kodak starts laying everybody off. Oh no. So it was like, I was called the Ebola virus of real estate.
That's funny.
But they, the company helped me out and stuff. The average days on market are still climbing though, Pat. You can see here. It's a lagging indicator, 83 days versus last year at 68. So it is taking you longer to sell your home. But we had a friend that lives out in North Carolina. She listed her home and they got a full price offer in 24 hours. Every market's different. And in fact, Jackie has seen some, like say that example in Gilbert, they called, "Hey, well, I'd like to see this tomorrow." And they said, "Well, we just went under contract right now." Even though it was on the market, guess what? 78 days. So, but there are some homes that are listed. Nobody's going to look at them. And those people are I saw a comment the other day that said, "I have a $1,100 payment on my house. I listed it. Nobody was interested in it. I'm going to keep my $1,100 payment." somebody accused him of being greedy, and another viewer came in and goes, why are they greedy? Because they want to keep an $1,100 payment. Sounds to
Yeah.
me like they're thrifty.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't want to double their payment. They just said, well, let's see if we can get this. If we can't, gosh, we got an $1,100 a month payment. Certainly
Yep.
can't rent because of that. So you're pulling up some Cromford charts there, I see, or so.
Yeah, I'm just going over. I listened to Tina Tambor from the Cromford report, obviously yesterday, and she kind of basically gleaned over what you were talking about. She was talking about cancellations were up. You see that one pop here that the cancel monthlies were. This is just she did this. These are slideshows from her presentation yesterday through a title company, but it just goes to show you what you've been talking about. Cancel listings have increased from July 1,600 to last year to 2,300. Expireds, have increased. It just goes along with what you've been saying. And here's the chart where the historical cancellation right here. So I mean, and she was talking about the foreclosures. Okay, here's the foreclosures, 131. But she says if you pull out a little bit further, this is where the real chart looks like.
Yeah.
Once again, like you talk about, but she talked about historical foreclosures, contract ratio. But I got this whole slide presentation, so it basically went over the same stuff that you've been talking about. Same thing, just dissecting a little bit further. Talking about days on market, 48 days. It's
Well, Richie's got a good comment here. He said there's a lot of new development on Ironwood in the 60. Would they cancel that development if supply gets too high? They hold back.
yeah.
They don't cancel. I mean, they've already got their money in it. They got the plans, everything. They just hold back at their rate of building. We're seeing some of that across the country. We're seeing some of that here, where they sell them in lots. They
Mm-hmm.
release lots. So they'll if the inventory is growing too much, they'll say we're not going to be releasing any more lots for 6 months.
Yep.
But they won't cancel the development.
No. There's too many costs that go into developing that type of development just to say we're going to cancel.
Interestingly enough, real estate builder stocks had a good week.
Mm-hmm.
Berkshire Hathaway invested, I don't know how much money they invested
D.R.
in.
Horton.
D.R. Horton and Pulte.
Yep.
It was a large chunk of change. So
Yep.
they're bullish on that. Now it could be stock could go down for a while and go back up, but they had a good week. So it's really hard to read, folks, and it depends on the area. And then
Well, it is. It is. I mean, I think it's once again we're just seeing the tail end of all this COVID stuff still working its way through the system.
Yeah, we've never seen this before. So anybody who tells you what they know is going to happen is just guessing, because this was our first pandemic since 1922. And so I wasn't around then to buy a house. So I couldn't tell you how things shook out. So Pat, thank you for joining me. Everybody, once again, I want to remind you, check out that data warehouse and the QR codes on there, because I know 43% of you watch us on TV. I pity you because our pictures are bigger. But then only 8% of you watch us on iPads and tablets now. I thought that was interesting. So the majority of you watch us on a phone. You can click the link below to get to the data store. But if you're watching us on TV, just hold up your phone and click that QR code and tell me what you want to see. You want to see a development? You want to see a zip code? You want to see the whole market? Just tell me. I've got 3 AI agents that I'm looking at that I put together a report. I'll send it to you. Usually get you out pretty quick, unless yesterday the weather was nice and I did a little hiking. But my referral team has got my back down there in the Phoenix Valley, and they are working like crazy. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I will be back in a few weeks. I'm up here enjoying visiting with family and friends. And once the doctor gave me the green light and said, "Looks like you're good," I said, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, good for you. You're enjoying it. I mean, it's about 100. Seems like it's about 150 today. But next week, have a good trip. I mean, we'll be back on here in the next 2 weeks. I mean, we'll see what happens with Powell tomorrow. I mean, I don't see them, him getting. it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, I'll have a video out Sunday night on that as well. So
it's going to be, I wouldn't be I mean, I think we're going to still be stuck in this channel. I mean, we see another week labor report, it's coming out September 5th. So, if we see another week report, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be some jostling around going in rates, because I think people are perking up now with the Fed trying to figure out what they're going to do. We're getting closer and closer to something kind of maybe a little breakout. It could be, they could go up a little higher, they could float down a little lower, but we've improved from about the high sixes to around the mid, sixes. So
yeah, I don't see any earth-shattering data or changes coming along between now and Christmas. I really don't. I just see this is where we're at. This is where we're going to be here. There are some bargains out there that people are negotiating. They're doing very well in getting some, and they have a lot of offers have not been accepted or entertained at all. It's all across the board. And we have housing never goes down. Well, it does. And it certainly has in my lifetime. And it turns around and comes back up. Then it goes down again. And sometimes it goes way down. So, but you know what? In every case, I kept paying down the note. And I'm living up here amongst friends that have no mortgage whatsoever. So you never know what's going to happen in your real estate journey.
I just got off the phone with Fred, a viewer that obviously you've been talking to him, I've been talking to him, but he just said, I see a lull. And he goes, I kind of think back to 2018 and 19 when everybody was saying it's going to crash in 2018, 19. It's just, so
shadow inventory.
Yeah, shadow inventory, things are coming out of the woodworks. And, once again, you look back at 2017, 18, 19, a lot of people that were wishing now that they would have bought back then. So it's just, you never know, just got to be in the game.
You just have to look at the numbers and see if you can spot a trend. And so, I mean, look, when I was young, I had nothing to look at.
Yeah.
I didn't have inventory numbers. I didn't have trends. I didn't know where interest rates were. I just bought because I was moving and I had to buy. And I just didn't have the wealth of data that people have today. So take that with a grain of salt. Look at the trends, look at the numbers, and make your own decision. And so I think that you're lucky. You're not walking into things blind. But trends can change.
Yeah.
There's always an earth-shattering event that can happen, and there's also some events that make things take off. So, who knows? You just don't know. And that's the fun of this. And that's why I like coming in and taking a look at these numbers all the time. So having said that, Pat, have a fabulous day, and I will see you next week.
All right, buddy. Take care.
See ya.